thanks a lot to everyone. I cannot see no one, but yeah, greetings from a sunny Berlin to Prague. And thank you very much for the opportunity to talk a little bit of the work from Grüne Liga and give a short overview over the Greening the Cities initiatives and urban gardening scene in Berlin. So we make a short overview over our Grüne Liga, which is a non-governmental organization, and then we give a short overview over the spaces and urban gardening scene in Berlin, and then about our initiatives and our projects, which supports the Greening the City initiatives. So the first slide. Yes, this is just a short overview of what the Grüne Liga Berlin is doing. The Grüne Liga Berlin, as I said, is a non-profit NGO which coordinates and supports societal and environmental movements, and especially the Grüne Liga Berlin also conducts a lot of own projects, which is not just about greening the city and urban gardening, so also about conducting congresses, events regarding sustainability and environmental education. But one of the most well-known and important themes in our work is to support local initiatives and helping them to do urban gardening. So the Grüne Liga exists like 30 years now and comes from the former German Democratic Republic and the environmental movement there, and has about like 20 employees and works in the quite center of Berlin, and just conducts projects in Berlin but also in whole Germany. So the next slide is just showing a map, which is like about 10 years old now, from Berlin. And Berlin, I don't know who many of you have been to Berlin, but Berlin is known for its like very spacious city and also quite green compared to other maybe European cities with this amount of people. But also, or besides this, there is also a very lively and strong community doing urban gardening and taking like places which were wastelands or lost or with no use, and made like urban gardening projects out of them. So one of the most famous urban gardening projects is maybe in a very inner district, which is quite crowded, a lot of tourists there, and it's the I don't know if someone knows this, it's called Prinzessinnengarten, like Princess Garden. And another also quite well-known urban gardening project is in a former airport, which is like in the center of the city, and where the airport was, you cannot dig in the soil, so you have to make raised beds. And these are, I think, the quite big and very well-known urban gardening projects, which also creates a lot of public awareness for the urban gardening scene. And in the year like 2030, there were about 100 initiatives throughout the city doing urban gardening. And nowadays, so 2020, in the next slide, you see another card or map of the city, or a little bit a map of the city. And nowadays there are about 200 urban gardening projects in Berlin. And I think because there were quite a strong civil society movement also reclaiming the rights to do this kind of urban gardening projects, to do something for the environmental education, to allow the children that they have some connection to the nature. There is nowadays also the awareness in the administration to kind of support these urban gardening projects. So this card you see here, it's like in the official Berlin homepage, which nowadays has like 200 urban gardening initiatives mapped in this map. And there is also a Charta Stadtgrün, it's called. It's like a self-commitment of the city, which is like a policy framework for the initiatives. And also the administration, has a kind of awareness that these initiatives should be supported and that they are quite important for, lively community and also a green city. And kind of green spaces are important for like cooling down the air in a hot summer. So and this kind of policy framework is also the framework for the work for the Grüne Liga, which is quite, here. We are conducting a lot of projects which are supported also from the administration and from like official money and funds and variety of programs. We are conducting a lot of kind of greening the city and urban gardening projects. On the left of the photo, you can see it was a former cemetery, which is now not used anymore for a cemetery, but a kind of a space also for urban gardening, which is right close to our bureau. And another project is in the middle. It's called Integrated Urban Gardenings. I will explain a little bit more in detail now. And another project, which was called Bestäubend schön Berlin, which focuses on the insects and to support spaces for insects, which my colleague Lena will explain also later more in detail. So one of the project I was conducting now the past 2.5 years, it's called this Integrated Urban Gardens, and this is taking place in a district which is more in the outskirts of Berlin, and it's a little bit known of a little bit more unemployment than the average and less education than the average. So it is a district with kind of problems also, and also that children, for example, there is not a really good connection to the nature. And we tried with this project to build up more school gardens, and we not just tried this, so we really were quite successful in supporting school gardens. Some schools already had school gardens, and we made, for example, together with the pupils, green classrooms or build it up more raised beds. As you can see here, there is a fence. Yes. Yeah, so one of the aims was to build up more school gardens, and also not just build up the school gardens, but also creating kind of a network of school gardeners. So we conducted a lot of workshops to educate also the teachers, because some of them has kind of experiences from private interests, but not everyone. So we did a lot of workshops, which were to educate them, but also it was very good for them that they had a network, that they were seeing that other people doing the same, and there was like good feeling amongst them, and they could exchange ideas, they could exchange experience and learned a lot from each other. And something similar was the workshops for the already existing neighbor gardens or community gardens in this district. And also we created a map just from this district of Berlin, where we mapped all the initiatives in like school gardens, but also community gardens in the city, and just to enable that the interested neighborhood can see where the gardens are, can participate. And for the gardens, it was the aim to create more members. And this is not connected to any photo, but there was also kind of a garden contest where we invited all the gardens you can see in this map to participate. And also the contest created new ideas. The contest also allowed the gardeners to create new ideas, and they had to participate in the contest. Now the word is missing, but maybe this is a good starting point for my colleague to follow on. This is just the official dates that it was developed, supported from a municipal program, which is aimed to enable greening the city and also to allow the neighbors to come together to create spaces where the neighborhood can meet, because this is one also problem at this area, that there are not so many opportunities to just to meet up the people who are living around you. Yeah, and now we are in the last days of this project. And yeah, looking forward that maybe something similar can go on, because yeah, as you can see here, the people in the school were quite always happy when they could just escape the classroom and make their hands some dirty a little bit. Yeah, that was a short overview of my project, and now Lena is explaining about other projects which are, yeah, greening the city from the Grüne Liga, greening the backyards especially.
Thank you. Yes, I'm also working for Grüne Liga in the field of urban greening, and my focus is a lot on greening the backyards. And we understand the greening projects as a contribution to improving the climate in the city, of course, improving biodiversity and life quality, but also contributing to creating a more or a better social climate and bringing people together. So that's also why the backyards are a field of interest, because there's a lot of potential to create more green spaces in the city, and it's also the places where people come together and neighbors can meet. And yeah, I want to give you a little impression on our greening projects and show you some examples of how it looks, what it looks like in the backyards. The big part of our work are the backyard projects that normally run for 2 years. They are funded by the Senate administration. There was a slight change in the funding and politics, and it got a little more complicated now for us, but I will get back later to that. So until the end of 2019, it was always these 2-year projects, and they always had a new motto for every 2-year period. And our aims are, of course, greening the city, but also motivating and connecting people and promoting and supporting urban gardening projects. So it's not only our own garden projects, but also existing projects or projects that are just getting started, that we are trying to connect and also offer them advice and practical help sometimes. And our projects usually consist of the 3 components: consultation, education, and a contest. And the large part is the consultation. It actually means that some of us go to the backyards or whatever gardens there are, and try to give advice on what people can do if they want to create green spaces. And the very common thing in Berlin is, I don't know about Prague, but Berlin has very sandy soil, so it's usually quite dry and low in nutrition. And the backyards are often shady. We often have, as we can see here, large trees in there. So it can be a little hard to get plants to grow there. But with the right choosing of plants and a little bit of know-how, something is always possible. And that's something that we do a lot. And we try to just offer the people solutions for every situation and picking the right plants to make something grow, even if it's really shady and dry soil. So we give advice on how to improve the soil and which plants will thrive in this environment. And often people do the work themselves, but sometimes they also need professionals. So we have a network of gardening companies to connect the people if they need more help in actually planting and building things. Raised planter beds are one thing that's really popular in backyard greening, and everywhere, like Nina already said, where you can't dig into the soil or you don't know what's in there. Sometimes if people want to grow food even, and they don't know if the soil maybe is contaminated, then that's a great way to grow your vegetables and be independent from the actual soil. Just to give you a little example on how creative people also get, it's not always just the classical raised planter beds, but all kinds of creative solutions to get more green into their backyards. Facade greening is also something that's in high demand. People are really interested in it because I think you all know the benefits of it for the climate and insulation, and also helps against the noise in the backyards. But it is sometimes a little difficult because there are conflicts sometimes with the house owners, or things can go wrong with it. And that's also what we try to do, to give people advice in advance before they start greening something, on what to think about, and get in touch with the house owners. And then we try to find a solution that everyone is happy with, and that actually everyone can benefit from and doesn't do any damage to the facades or anything like that. Sadly, there is no public funding for facade greening at the moment, although the demand is high, and I think you all know the benefits of it. So we're hoping that maybe in the administration something will change and there will be some financial help for greening more facades. The last component of our projects is education, and it's usually workshops that we do for all kinds of practical hands-on gardening subjects, like composting, as you can see here on the upper right. A lot of workshops for children too. Here we were building little insect homes, and of course building raised planter beds is like a classic that we do several times every year, because it's also something that people, like the neighborhoods, can do together, and they actually feel connected to their garden if they build it themselves and will look after it. And it's like a good start, because we can't offer to help throughout the whole project. We can just help them start, and that's usually a really good thing to kick off a gardening project, to just go and build something together and give them some help to start, so they know what to look for, and then they are usually fine completing it on their own. Just to give you, the last thing is the contest, because we also want to show what people are doing and value their efforts. So each project includes a contest, and in the end we publish a brochure which presents all the winners of the contest, so the actual garden projects, and also contains some helpful advice for people who might want to start gardening, and also connecting them to these projects, and just offer some really low threshold tips on how to get started. And not just to give you a little impression of our latest project. This one was gardening as a contribution to integration, which really focused on the social components of gardening. So there were a lot of projects in like refugee homes or any other social facilities. And yes, you can see it was also a quite wide range of projects. There's a roof garden here, and yeah, it's just a way to also improve the environment of the people living in refugee homes or whatever. That can be a little sad and boring, and bringing a little more life to these surroundings, and also creating spaces for people to sit outside, get together, and do something fun. The other one that Nina already mentioned was finished in 2019, that really focused on insects and pollinator-friendly gardening. So a little bit of getting back more to nature. And it's not only focused to backyards or gardens of facilities or whatever, but also public spaces, like you can see here. We try to also add a little more plant diversity and help insects live in the city to find the food and shelter too. And in the end of that project, we also published our garden box. It's like a box with a lot of cards that give really practical short information on all kinds of environmentally friendly gardening subjects, including pollinators, beneficial insects, how to care for the soil, what plants are good for which insects. And that was really helpful and in high demand for from the gardening projects. And we're still using it for education and events too. And our current project, like I said, is a little different in funding now, but also Corona, of course, affected us. So we thought about what can we do if people can't go outside and are like stuck in their homes and still want to get in touch with nature. And we came up with this project that focused on the really, really small places like windowsills and balconies and all kinds of areas that people still have access to, even if they're in lockdown and spend a lot of time at home. And it also focuses on insect-friendly plants. So we're trying to add to insect diversity and plant diversity in the city, and create like micro habitats and stepstone habitat to improve the overall situation for insects, and of course also to motivate people to get active and just get in touch with the subjects, because there are a lot of fears and a lot of people are not really comfortable with even thinking about insects. So we're trying to educate a little bit, and of course also improve the environment of the people living there. And one other part of my work is cooperating with housing companies. So there are actually there's some progress there. They're actually really interested in improving their green spaces and making them more environmentally friendly and ecologically valuable. So we are giving them advice on how to remodel their green spaces to make them more sustainable, and also improving them for the neighborhood. So there are not just the gardens for the neighbors actually, but sometimes also their the bigger surroundings. And last but not least, what Nina already mentioned, we also have our own little urban garden. It's a former cemetery that's of course not used anymore. And it may sound weird at first that we're gardening on a cemetery, but I think it's actually a really nice and special place. And as you can see right in the city, and the neighbors come and they have their planter beds here, and they come with their kids and they're gardening and having fun. And I think it's really, really special to have that kind of place right in the city, and also the change of views. You can see the tombstones in the back, but it's actually a place full of life now. And yeah, I think that's really a special and nice thing to have. And we're looking forward to starting our new green classroom there too. So that's it from me. Thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to maybe answering some questions from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. I hope we are connected now. Thank you so much for your work and everything you showed up us. And I wanted to ask you just like small little question, but actually I'm pretty sure that it's going to be really complicated, and it's really complicated sound, because, especially with my English. But anyway, you know the situation actually in London or New York, everywhere there is really trendy or really common, fancy, people started self-producing for themselves in the backyard, especially like owners which own like a house, but also in these communities like where it's like a lot of families. So the situation in Berlin now in last years, it's like much more about self-producing, farming in the backyards, or it's more about gardening. Or if we can say like in this 100%, how many percent it's for like farming, self-producing, or just like visual kind of like plants or gardening art? I know it sounds really complicated. I do understand that.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's definitely people wanting to grow their own food, but I think it's very few of them really want to be self-sufficient. But it's more about like having
more about fun, but then not so much about self-producing to be like sure to produce something for myself or for my family.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of people enjoy like being able to show their children like this is how a carrot grows or something, or a tomato, and to actually eat their own vegetables. But it's more for fun, I think,
for fun,
and also
to be sure that I. And do you think that in the future, in the next years, it's gonna be changing much more? Because I think it should be something which will be like very common and very, very fancy actually in the end. Like I can imagine like in 5 years, we will be very happy to produce food or actually vegetables or fruits for ourselves on the backyards. Not just owners like easy owners of the family.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know, but I think the initiatives we were presenting, it's more about also having the community doing something together about environmental education. But there are also other projects which are more focused on really producing food, which is, I don't know how it's named in Prague or Czech Republic, but community supported agriculture, which is more taking place at the outside in the countryside, but there are very short distances. For example, there's a farmer like in the district of Berlin, but at the outside, and supports a community of 200 people and gives the food like every week. And these are kind of food production in the city, not in the backyards, but at the fields. And also there are kind of vertical gardens or this kind of closed systems where...
And roof projects.
Yes,
I
think there...
We're starting also, but we are really far away, I have to say. Thank you very much, girls, ladies, excuse me. Thank you very much, and thank you for having you, and thank you for participating, and be safe and be healthy, and good luck to Berlin.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.